Welcome to Azzadous Studios. In this video, I'm going to give you a quick run through of my UK hardcore drum processing. There are many different ways to do this. This is just my general process when I'm doing my drums. As usual, if you like the video, like and share, and remember to subscribe and ring the bell to keep up to date with future videos. Let's crack on. Okay, so I've created a pretty standard UK hardcore drum loop. So we've got the kick, the ride with the kick, a clap that layers over the kick. It's pretty quiet. A hat that layers over the kick, just a closed hi-hat. And I've gone quite wide with this hi-hat. I've found a sample that's got quite a bit of width, just to add a nice little bit of width on top of that drum loop. And then I've got an open hat. And then I've got a second open hat. So with the first open hat, what I've done is I've got quite a high sounding, I'm not sure how to describe it. It's a bit more high pitched than the other, and it's a bit more precise sounding. For the second one, what I've got is, as you'll notice now, it's a bit rougher, a bit deeper, and they go together quite nicely. The second one's quite a bit quieter, it's just beefing up the first one. And then what I've got is a group within this drums group for the snare slash clap. I'll switch that on and we'll just solo that for a second. So when I switch, what I've got first is the snare, and all I've done there is just grabbed a nice sounding punchy snare sound, and then I've got a shifted clap. I'll switch that on in a second, so we'll just skip over that to this next clap. Just got quite a long tail on it, so the snare's giving the punch there, the clap's giving more of a tail. And then the shifted clap is just a pre-shifted clap, which I've knocked back a bit just so the clap hits around the same time, but it's still a bit out, so it just adds a bit more groove to the drum loop. And then I've got this clap extra, I've called it. It's just a bit of addition to the clap. Adds a little bit more room, a bit more atmosphere. And then after that, what I've got is a loop, which I've just found in Vengeance Essential Club Sounds 2. We're not doing a lot with this. It's just a sort of club loop, you know, the standard loop. But I've got that quite quiet. It's just adding a little bit to the entire drum loop. And then what I've got here is just a percussion loop that I've thrown together. It's just a few different percussion samples put together and then side chained with kickstart. It sounds a little bit weird on its own, but it does add to it in the background. I might change that up later, but for now it's sounding nice in the background. And then what I've got on top is this little vocal. It's just a vocal sample of a guy saying what. And I feel that adds it quite nicely. I don't want it to be too audible that he's actually saying what. I don't want you to be able to hear what he's saying. I just want it to add that little noise. It's just adding a bit more groove to it. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to close these up. And we'll take a look at the ride first. And with stuff like the ride, I'll show you what I've done with this ride. It's a Cashmere ride. What I've done is switched over to the controls and brought the sustain all the way down and the decay down to 1.67 seconds. So if I take these back up, if I reset them, you can hear there's a lot more of a tail on it, and that really clashes with the rest of the sounds. It doesn't sound how I want it. So I took the sustain all the way down and then brought the decay up. And it just adds that nice little ride on top of the kick. So what I'm going to do is bring in a Pro Q2. I don't want to take too much of this out. I'm going to be quite relaxed with it. And I'm just going to chuck an API 2500 on. Now let's try a ratio of 4. Okay, I'm just lightly compressing that, nothing too much. And then onto the clap over the kick. Pro Q2 again. I want to get a bit more precise with this one. Okay, compress out. Sounds good. Onto the kick hat. Okay, so again, I want to cut out quite a lot of the lows in this. I'm going to go for 18. Just want that high click, and then a light bit of compression again. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to the open hi-hat 1. And I'm going to compress this first. I'll leave ratio on 4, put the release on 1. Okay, that'll do. And then I'm going to EQ this. I'm going to go for a 6 dB on this, and I know we'll go back to 12. See, the open hi-hat 2 is going to be adding a bit more of these high mids. Those bits you can hear there. So I don't want to have too much of them in this hi-hat. But I don't want to ruin the sound of the hi-hat by cutting them out completely. We'll try it about there for now, and we'll try it with the open hi-hat too. once we've EQ'd it. And I'm going to be quite heavy with this compression because I want this to be sort of the beef of the hi-hat, so it's just going to layer up nicely underneath. And a Pro Q2. So I'm going to roll off maybe about there, and I'm just going to give it high, what is slope, sorry, no, a shelf, high shelf. I'm just going to roll those highs off a bit, and I'm going to play those hi-hats together. Okay, that's sounding nice. Okay, so open hi-hats are done. So now we want the snare and the clap group. So first of all, I'm going to start off with this extra clap, the air, and I'm just going to EQ this out. Okay, so that sounds nice. Just wanted to tighten it up a bit and bring out that airiness of the reverb. So next up, I'm going to go back up to the top where the snare is. Okay, and I'm going to EQ this. Sorry, I'm going to compress this first. Okay, so that sounds about right. Because this is the punch of the whole snare clap group, I'm not too bothered about letting it ring out more. So I want quite a slow attack on this because a fast attack is going to compress the transient of the snare a lot quicker. So I want, because this is the punch of the snare group, I want the transient to be intact really. Okay, that sounds nice. So I'll move on to this shifted clap. And I'm gonna, oh, actually I forgot to EQ this snare. So what I usually do is roll off just around where the punch of the snare is, because I don't want all that low end. I also want to tame the punch of it a little bit, just so it's not too punchy. If that makes sense. It needs to be punchy, but not too punchy. So I'm just going to roll these highs, bring these highs down a little bit. Okay, so onto the shifted clap. And some EQ. Again, roll these lows off. So we've got quite a low punch there, which I don't need at all. I'm just shaping the sound a little bit there. I pulled out a little frequency there, which is actually part of the snap of the clap, but I just wanted to bring it down a little bit. Okay, and then this final clap. Again, another airy clap there. Okay, then this loop that I've got, the Vengeance loop, I'm just going to just tame that a little bit, stick a little bit of compression on. Yeah, and then I'm going to stick a kickstart on and just duck it out of the way a little bit. Something like that. So you can barely hear it, but it is adding to it nicely. So onto this percussion loop. So I just threw this together pretty quickly. At the time it sounded quite nice, but I'm starting to rethink how it sounds. I might just need to get the levels right and EQ it right. Possibly stick another kickstart on. Okay, I'm going to leave it there for now. And then onto this vocal. So I'm going to compress this quite heavily. Let's try that. Bit of EQ. Got out these lows. I'm quite harsh with this. Let's try that for now. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to group this ride, the kick clap, the kick hat, the open hi-hat 1 and open hi-hat 2. And we'll just call that tops. It doesn't matter too much what I name it, just so I know what it is. So then what I'm going to do is chuck a glue compressor on there. And when I'm working with a group of drums, I usually try to have quite a slow attack and try release on auto. Okay, so release on auto was kind of squashing this sound a bit too much. So I'm going to keep it on 1.2 for now. So just very lightly, just gluing the percussion together. So then what I'm going to do is have an overall EQ on there. You can hear there we're still getting information quite low down, which we don't really want. So I'm just going to roll that off. And then I'm going to use some sort of distortion. I'll go for, let's try a satin. And I just want to that's introducing a bit of a click. Let's try gentle saturation. I just want to cook these highs a little bit. And rather than creating another band, I'll just do this whole bottom bit as one. We'll go for heavy saturation. I'll try it. So it's really subtle, but it is bringing out some clicks and harmonics that make it sound a bit nicer. So I'm going to, actually what I'll do is I'll just move this EQ that we put before it to after it. Because all it's doing is rolling off the low end, so it's just going to keep up with that. And then the snare and clap group, I'm going to do a similar thing. I'm going to grab a glue compressor. So I'm going a little bit more on this compressor for the snare and the clap. Overall EQ again on this group. Just going to roll the lows off. And I'm going to bring this up a little bit with the limiter. This is the snare clap group. And I'll just put it on transparent and boost it a little bit. Okay, so next I'm going to move on to these loops. I'm just going to group the two loops on the vocal. I'm just going to call that loops. And again, I'm going to add a glue compressor. Just a bit of light compression and then an overall EQ again. And then on these loops, I'm going to add another Saturn. I'm just going to create a couple of bands. And we'll clean tape. Try old tape on this middle band. I'm just going to leave that bottom band. Okay, so finally what I'm going to do is add some delay and reverb. So I'm just going to remove the stock delay and reverb from these channels at the bottom, from these return tracks. And I'm going to start off with delay, so I'm going to use the B return for a delay. And I'm going to use Ableton's filter delay. So I'm just going to first of all send these loops into the filter delay. And I'm going to switch the left and the right off and just leave left and right, the center one. I'm just fattening it up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is bring this Pro Q2 and I'm going to switch the dry all the way off. Okay, and then I'm going to bring these tops in. So just a little bit. And then I'm going to add some reverb, so I'm going to go for the Arts Acoustic reverb onto this first return channel. I'm just going to try a preset first. Let's try a factory preset. For drums, try percussion, short plate. Got the lows. And take the dry all the way down. And an EQ. I'm going to bring the decay down a little bit. I'm just pushing the tops through a little bit more. Okay, so the snare and the clap, I'm going to bring into the reverb a little bit. And as a starting point, that's pretty much it for now. Later on in the track, once I've added more instruments, the lead, the bass, stuff like that, I might need to tweak this a little bit, duck it out of the way of certain things and EQ a little bit more if it's clashing with anything. But as a basic starting point for the drums, that's about it for me. So that's generally how I process drums for UK Hardcore. If you like this video, like and share, and remember to subscribe and ring the bell to keep up to date with future videos. See you next time.